Well, hello, Young and the Restless Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Monday. It's actually a weekly recap for Monday, January the 22nd through Friday, January the 26th. Let's see what's going on in a GH land. Okay, we have um, Nick runs into Sally at the coffee house, and they're very amicable with each other, and he says, so I see you and Adam are a couple again. And she says, we're working our way back, you know to a relationship. And he just told her he wished her well. He wished her well, that was it. So they had a goodbye hug, which was unnecessary. They're exes. No, the relationship's not strained, but it's not hug worthy. Why? Come on now, right? It's hug worthy if you want to get back with the person because you want to get close and personal, right? Hug. So anyway, um, Sharon sees, as Sally's leaving, Sherry says, Sharon asked him, how, and actually it wasn't at the coffee house. They were at Society. And Sharon asked Nick, how does he feel about it? You know, the whole 9 yards. And so he was, no, they were at the coffee house. They were, because Sally left. She was going to meet Adam at Society. Sharon and Nick were at the coffee house, and he's just saying it's over. And there's no hard feelings. Do I wish you were with Adam? No, but you know what? If they were going to be together, they're going to be together. There was nothing I could do to stop that. So they decide they're going to go get a bite. Nick and Sharon. So they go to Society, and they're having, a good lunch. They're kind of, because they're laughing at whatever's being said. Nick's giving praise to Sharon for the job she's done, and they're just having a good lunch. And Adam notices, the closeness, but they've always had a closeness. And Sally kind of glances because she's seeing Adam look, and he goes, you know, I guess some things are meant to be. And Sally's kind of like, well, Nick and Sharon have always um, been close. And he goes, but you know what, Sally, there's always been an unusual closeness with them. They find their way back to each other, and even if they don't get all the way back to each other, pretty much their relationship trumps any other relationship, their closeness that they continue to have. And I admire it. And they're just laughing, like laughing out loud at each other, just having a good time. Because look, Sharon, honestly, she is looking at Nick as, look, let's do this again, right? Let's do it again, this relationship thing. Because remember, in her dream, it was kind of pointing towards she was going to break up with Chance and get back with Nick. So anyway, we'll see what happens with that. And then we had Victoria talks to Nikki, and Nikki tells her that she saw Jordan, and Victoria was like, um, he, Victoria's like, oh, you did? What happened? And she just said, I wanted to just see where she was, where her head was at. And what did she say? And she goes, we talked, and she actually even opened up to me, you know? Um, and she says, she did. She goes, yeah, I have a better insight on her now. So that made Victoria very, very happy. Then we get Heather. Oh, just popping over. Oh, let's see. Did she pretend? No, no, no. Daniel called her over because Heather said she was falling back in love with him, right? And he goes, I think we need to discuss this. Now, mind you, Lucy's out for the rest of the afternoon. So are what is there? Got a little dry skin on my nose, y'all. So what is there to discuss, right? I mean, if nothing's gonna happen, just because somebody says I'm falling back in love with you, you don't have to have her come over, just you and her, and let's discuss it. Because we know what that entails. And it did. Heather, oh, on the couch, she puts her hand in his hand. You can't deny, Daniel, that there is a connection. And yes, I am falling back in love with you. You're the man that I loved. We had so many years of just a happy family. He goes, yeah, until I ruined it. She goes, but you are back to Daniel. You've got your life back on track, you know, and why wouldn't I fall back in love with you? And so she's like, but he goes, I'm with Lily. Really, Dan? That's why you got her there alone? So she goes, oh, and look, I know, but do you love Lily? And he goes, well, Lily and our relationship hasn't progressed that far yet to where, you know, we're in love, or pronouncing love for one another. And she goes, well, I love you. And I love what our family used to be. And you used to love that too. Don't you want it back again? And he goes, this is difficult, you know. So he stands up, and then, of course, she stands up and gets right in his face. Daniel, this is so right. Yes, I know you and Lily had a history, but we had years of a happy family. Years. So I'm just saying, I want to try again. And next thing we know, they kissing, and guess what? They end up in the sack. And Heather was like, is it just me? Am I imagining what's going on? And he's like, no, Heather, it's not just you, you know. She goes, do you feel it too? Oh, yeah, oh, of course, yeah, he feels it, blah, blah, blah. So then, um, that was what happened with them. Now Victoria goes to Victor, and she lets him know, ease up off Cole. Because Cole told her Victor called him over and kind of gave him the third degree, first degree, second degree, right? And he's like, really? She goes, yes, Daddy, ease up on Cole. He's not leaving Claire. We're both committed for the long haul for Claire. And he's just like, I just don't want you falling back in a relationship with him. She goes, we are here for our daughter. And that's all we can think about right now, Dad. Please, right? So now we have um Summer, and we're progressing now through the different days. Uh Tuesday, Summer walks in the coffee house, and Kyle was there, and she goes, it's strange that we meet each other or see each other today. And he goes, you got a call from your lawyer? She said, yeah. Did you? He goes, yeah, their divorce is final. So now they're both free. So, then they just talk about, how it's good that they're able to get to a place to where they can and they kept it amicable where little Harrison was concerned the whole time. I mean, that never wavered. But now they can even just truly talk to each other as friends and have a good conversation without things being awkward. So Chance walks in his nice Marquetti suit, looking good in that executive attire, right? And so she looks at him and she smiles and she goes, look at you in your suit. And he goes, why, thank you, thank you. And he walks over to Kyle. He says, hi, Kyle. And he goes, Chance. And he goes, she says something else about his suit. And then Chance tells Kyle, Summer gave me some fashion tips. And he goes, she didn't even have to ask me my size. She guessed. I mean, she just knew it. And so Kyle says, she has a good eye, you know. for sizes and fashion. So he says, I'm gonna go get some coffee. Would you like some coffee, Summer? So she's like, oh yeah. So he goes over to the counter and Kyle looks at her. He goes, well, well. And she's smiling. She goes, what? He goes, looks like somebody has a crush. And she goes, wait, what? He goes, come on, Summer. You and I have known each other for years. I know when you're attracted to somebody. And she just, well, no, Chance and I are friends at this point. He goes, look, I'm not judging you. I think both of us, we want each other's happiness. He goes, I haven't seen you smile like this in a long time. So if Chance is making you smile like this, go for it. And so Chance comes back over and Kyle leaves and him and Summer talk and they sit down having their coffee and talking about, corporate world and blah, blah, blah. And she's just giddy over him. You just the way Summer looks at him like a teenage girl, you know. So Sharon comes in and Summer's like, well, hello, Miss CEO, and they talked about the launch and because Sharon saw them both before she walked all the way in and she kind of looked at them, but then she continued to just go on all the way in. And well, because she wasn't going to turn around, that's her coffee house, right? And so, they make small talk and she asks, how come they both didn't come to the party? And Chance says, you know what? It was your night. And I hear it turned out fabulously. And then she goes, yeah, Mariah did an excellent job and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, Summer gets a phone call. She goes, I gotta take this guy. So she goes out to the patio and Chance and Sharon talk. And she goes, so it seems like you and Summer, huh? He goes, no, we're friends. And she goes, looks like it's a little more than friendship. He goes, well, I mean, it's all new. And so she says that, she's happy things aren't weird between the two of them. He said, me too, Sharon. He said, I genuinely like talking to you and I would like us to be friends. You know, I would like, so she goes, me too. So it was no funniness. And Summer comes back and says, look, I got to get back to work, fashion emergency. He goes, I got to get to work as well. He goes, let me walk you to the car and you could tell me some more about this fashion emergency. And so he helps her with her coat and she goes, okay. They pretty much don't even see Sharon anymore. And so as they walk out, Chance turns back and he looks at Sharon and he goes, and she goes, bye. You know, she's not looking at, oh, I lost it. She knew Chance was just a cougar, some fun rolls in the back room. I mean, they really did not get too serious. They had fun and she left it as we've just had some fun. And that's all there is to that. So that was good, you know, not make turning it into something that it was not. Um, oh goodness. Ashley, Ashley, Ashley. I don't know how many times that I have to deal with Ashley. Ooh. Now remember, last week when Audra and Tucker were sitting in the dining room, Ashley was sitting at a table a little ways more against the wall, and she sees them and oh no, oh she can't be in the same room, and oh she grabs her purse and grabs her coat and goes almost running to the front door. And so Tucker goes, Ashley, Ashley, wait, no, don't touch me. He goes, wait a minute. Are you trying to make it seem like you can't even be in the same room with me? You're that frightened? Oh no, that was, last week she had to go. Well, since then she's been, you tell me, no, you got, yeah, I want to know. So she goes back because remember they saw each other down at the jazz lounge. You admit that you get, oh my goodness. So she just comes back to his room And he's just like, what are you doing here, Ashley? What are you even doing here? Because she left Jack. Oh, Jack, oh, I don't know why he's doing this to me, Jack. He's so cruel. Jack's like, just leave him. Don't even leave him alone, Ashley. Don't even go around him. No, I have to find out. Goes to his room. She goes, why are you doing this? Why you told me that I have a problem with committing. That is not it. And she just going on. He goes, yeah, it is, Ashley. And that's why he goes, why? But what I want to know is, why are you here? You're supposed to be so afraid of me. You have recreated the story in your mind that this is the way it went so that you could have justification for staying away from me. And he says, you know what? Since you feel so much that that is not how that went, I am gaslighting you, lying. He goes, go back to Paris. Ask some of the staff. Bottom line, they probably still work there. They would definitely remember a crazed American breaking glass and throwing chairs. They would remember that, Ashley. So why don't you go and why don't you find out? And she just looked at him. And so she leaves. And then she goes home. Now, Tracy's like, hey, Ash. And then she takes a look at her face. She goes, okay, wait, what's going on? Going on, Ashley, honey? Tracy, oh, Tucker. Same thing like she does with Jack. He's gaslighting me. She noticed she's yet to talk to Abby like that, right? And so she goes, okay, let's think about this, Ashley. Let's think about this rationally. I am not a Tucker McCall fan at all. She goes, but Ash, in all the years that I've known him, he's never been violent. And Ashley looked at him. She goes, are you saying I'm lying? She goes, no, no, honey, I'm absolutely not saying you're lying. She says, there's the way he remembers it, there's the way you remember it. She said, but Ashley, somewhere in the middle is the truth. And it's up to you to find out what it is. And so Ashley's like, well, pretend like this is one of your stories that you're writing. And she goes, okay, I'd want to know what would the protagonist have to gain from gaslighting someone else? What would Tucker have to gain, Ashley, to get back at me because I love my because I couldn't leave my family? She goes, yeah, could be, but that's a little bit extreme. But could be. So they kind of talked it out, and Ashley's like, I know exactly what I have to do. So, you know, whatever. She knows exactly what she has to do. So now we have, Jack and Diane and Kyle are in his office and they're having a great meeting, bouncing ideas off of each other. Diane is just co-CEO personified with all these grandiose ideas and great this, great that. And Jack is like, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is how well things work when people are exactly where they're supposed to be. Because Kyle even bounced up, he wants to beef up the internship program. Summer's coming on, wants to bring high schoolers and college students, into the lab and in various internship positions. And he wants to start, they talking about the culture they want to do in Jabot and blah, blah, blah. So Jack gets a phone call and he tells it both of them. He goes, look, this is going so well. I got to get this phone call, but you two keep it up. Keep bouncing ideas off of each other. So he gets up and he goes out. Now, Nikki, remember I said she had seen Claire and they talked and blah, blah, blah. Well, now that it's later, Nikki's emotions didn't know how to really handle seeing Claire, right? And processing, do I let my granddaughter in, or am I now still afraid of what she did to me? So she goes, Jack, I need your help, Jack. I need your help. And Jack's like, Nikki, Nikki. So Jack um, says bottom line, he goes to get Nikki or meets Nikki. He actually brings her back to his house and they're talking. And let me see, I may get back to that. They're talking, but we'll get back because where my picture is now, we've got Victoria came back to the office to see her father to say, Dad, that Claire is letting them in little by little, and she's really happy. And he goes, well, that's good to hear. And it's great for us, and blah, blah, blah. And then as she's getting ready to leave, she goes, and once Claire is recuperate, is back, what, mentally stable. Um, and if she wants to be a part of the family, she goes, I want you to welcome her into the Newman fold, Daddy. And Adam and Nick walk in as she's saying that, and Adam's like, wait a minute, what? you know, After she did what she did to the family, and Victoria immediately went on the whole condescending, evil, hateful talk to Adam. Oh, look at here, the black sheep of the family raising a protest, right? See, and Victor's sitting there. What I don't respect about him in that manner, don't allow your other kids to bash him, especially in front of you. What she does and you can't hear, you can't help it. But Victoria was right there in front of her father. And this is her father's son. Are you saying people can't redeem themselves? Then you shouldn't even be standing in this office now. Or is it you so worried that we might give Claire love and that would take it away from you? And he goes, well, that absolutely couldn't be it, because I've never felt a monicum of love from you, Victoria. So that's not it, right? And Nick is like, Adam, you need to quit while you're ahead. And he goes, Nick, you cannot be in agreement with this. He goes, listen. And he's looking at Victor part of the time talking. He goes, and then about the, they went and took Jordan to go see, Claire to go see Jordan. And he goes, and how did that conversation go? And Victoria's like, I don't know, because we weren't in the room. He goes, wait, what? You don't even know if Jordan could have done however many weeks of therapy that that Claire has had. You let her talk to her by herself. They could be planning something. Oh my goodness. And so she goes, you don't, she goes, Claire wanted to get closure with Jordan. And then she goes, and did she even say what they talked about? And Victoria goes, no, oh my goodness. Adam's like, look, does anybody see anything wrong with this other than me? Right? And so Nikki comes in. And so he goes, look, right now, what happens if Jordan somehow gets out? What do you think she's going to do? And Nikki walks in. Well, something how it's none of your concern or something. See, Nikki came right in the same way, talking to Adam like Victoria does. Victor allows that. And that kills me, right? So anyway, Adam's like, oh my goodness, y'all are just, oh, whatever. I guess I'm the only one concerned. You all have it under control, so you think, right? Now Jordan calls Claire. She has somebody's phone, some guard's phone. First, she told the staff that she was Claire's mother. As soon as Claire answers the phone, Claire? And so she goes, Jordan, don't hang up, don't hang up. I only have a little time. Claire, what I'm calling to tell you is you can't trust those Newmans. They don't care. She went right back into the venom. They don't love you like I do. They, yeah, you're too good for them. And she was just going on and on. And so Claire's like, no, you don't have any idea what's going on here. They have been very kind to me and accepting of me and supportive of me getting better. She goes, as a matter of fact, do not ever call me again. I do not want to speak to you. And so she goes, Joy, Claire, don't hang up. And Claire hung up right on her, right? And then she called the nurse and she goes, don't ever give me a call from this number again, because that was not my mother. And she says, I'm sorry. She goes, no, but it's just, that was not my mother. So Claire then, when the camera came back to her a couple scenes later, she's curled up on her bed because Jordan does, I mean, come on, it was emotional abuse from the time that girl was a baby. That's all she's known. So she's curled up in a ball just over Jordan saying what she's saying. You know, it probably took her right back, right back. Feel sorry for her. And then we have, okay, so Jack gets to Nikki, takes her to his house. They talk, and she said, thank you so much for meeting me. And he goes, have you been drinking? I just had one drink, Jack. And he goes, I doubt that. She goes, well, okay, two. She goes, but I stopped myself and I called you. And he goes, and I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. And so they're talking, and she's saying that, he was saying, Nikki, have you thought about finding a AA sponsor? And he goes, no, Jack, I mean, you know me, you know my history, and you've agreed to be there for me. And he goes, well, okay, then we need to bring Victor in on this. Oh no, we can't bring Victor in on this. Victor would be so upset that I've turned to you. Victor, this, that, and the other, and then it would jeopardize my progress. You know, Victor would insist I get someone else. I don't want to start with anyone else brand new, giving them my whole history. Now, mind you, she ended up having to tell Jack from scratch what really happened and how she told him how they put the vodka in the IV, and Jack was just like, oh my God. Oh. And so she's like, Jack, will you take me to an AA meeting? And he goes, yes, absolutely. So he agrees for now. He goes, for now, I agree. I won't tell Victor. He says, but Nikki, part of your recovery is you can't start it out by lying. Lying is the worst thing you can do. He goes, Victor eventually is going to find out. She goes, well, I will cross that bridge when I get to it. Right now, I'm just trying to get through today. Right? And so she goes, will you take me to an AA meeting? He goes, absolutely. So then later, she's at the coffee house, Nikki, Diane. Diane is there first. And Esther's congratulating her, wanting to give her some baked goods, snacks, cookies, and everything, because it's actually later in the day. And Diane said, yeah, she was just in picking up some snacks because it's going to be a long night at work. And so Esther said something about, congratulations, yeah. And so Diane says, and she goes, and you're already, burning the midnight oil. And she says, you know what? It's easy when you're working with people you love. It really is. So they're talking, and then Nikki comes in. Well, hello, right? Or she says something, and Nikki gets her coffee. She goes and sits on the patio. So Esther gives Diane the cookies, but we don't really see the bag. No, Esther brings it later. When Diane goes out to the coffee terrace and, hi, Nikki, and sits down. Listen, I am so sorry what you're going through. Oh, yeah, Jack told me. What if she didn't know Jack told her? See, Diane was trying to be supportive, but it was interesting. Supportive and superior. I could only imagine. But Jack is the best person to help you because you do know he's battled his own addiction. As if Nikki didn't know that. Nikki has known that for years. Everybody in town knows it, and they know Phyllis was the one that that was with him when he was going through withdrawals in the cabin, right? So anyway, Nikki, I wish you all the success. And by the way, you have my confidence, um, comp, confidant. I will keep your confidential. And what does she say? Because Jack and I share everything from personal to relationships to business to. And Nikki goes, wait a minute. What do you mean? Because she goes, we're equals in everything. She goes, what do you mean you're equals in business? Oh, you didn't know. See, there's Diane. Jack named me co-CEO. The press release is coming out tomorrow. So Nikki looks at her. She goes, well, I guess some would say you didn't waste any time. It was Jack's idea. And Nikki said, oh, was it? And then it was, why, Jack, I'm touched. You would think of me. She was mimicking Diane. Really, she goes, even though it was your idea, you made him think it was his. She goes, actually, Nikki, no, it really was his idea. Because she goes, even though Kyle, his son, who's done the job before, has been with the company for years, you would think that's who would have got it. She goes, and so Diane tells Nikki, I was pushing for that. She goes, don't think that I did not want to see father and son working together again. That's my dream. She says, but it was Jack's decision. So Nikki said something snide to her. She goes, really, Nikki, is that how we're going to play it? Are we going to be adversarial or are we going to coexist here? So Nikki says, yeah, you know what, you're right. I didn't have to say that. I wish you all the best in your position. Nikki gets up and she walks out, right? And Diane's just looking at her. Now Jack goes home. No, no, no. Ashley brings her suitcase downstairs and she's over at the little desk trying to get stuff to get together. And Jack walks in and he goes, Ash, what's going on? Jackie, I don't have time to talk. I've got to go. I've got to get to the airport. He goes, wait, airport? What do you do? Wait, stop. Just hold on. What are you doing? Right? And so she's like, I'm going to go to Paris and I'm going to find out what happened. I need to know. He goes, and if I'm remembering things right. See, that's what I'm saying, Ash. He's got you doubting, your own memory. Don't give him the time of day. She goes, well, not if. I just want to find out exactly how it happened. I'm going to question some of the wait staff. I've got to do this. Don't worry, Jack. I'm not going to just disappear in Paris. Oh, I'm thinking like you always do. You'll go somewhere and don't come back for months, right? That's Ashley. So he goes, but I have to do this. And I already said, I can't talk. I'm late. I got to get to the plane. So Tracy comes walking out the kitchen with her cup of coffee. And she goes, hey, was that Ash? Did I hear her voice? Yes, she is on her way to Paris. And she's taking the private jet, right? She's on her way to Paris. And all this. So Tracy goes, ooh, well, that was fast. And he goes, wait a minute. Did you know she was thinking about going to Paris? She goes, yeah, she wants closure. She wants some answers. And I think that's a good thing. And you didn't think to tell me? She goes, Jack, Ashley is grown. It's her decision. I have to protect her. And she goes, no, 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 Jack. See, neither of us have to protect Ashley. Ashley can stand on her own 2 feet and protect herself, Jack. He goes, well, have you thought about what happens if she gets there and she gets answers and it's not the answers that she was thinking she was going to get? Then what's going to happen to her? You need to be there. And Tracy just looks at him. So then it shows Ashley on the plane. She's getting ready to buckle up. And all of a sudden, somebody comes and sits next to her. And she looks over at the seat next to her, and it's Tracy. She's smiling and buckling up. And Ashley looks at her and she goes, what are you doing here, Tracy? And she goes, I'm going to Paris with you. And so she says, what? You're going, what is it? You're going to watch me or whatever. She said, she goes, no. No, she goes, did Jack send you? And she goes, neither Jack nor I would ever let you go through this alone, Ashley. And Ashley just looks at Tracy and she takes a hold of her hand on this, because her hand's on the armrest, and she just takes a hold of Tracy's hand and she squeezes it like, thank you, you know. And Tracy just looks at her like, now let's go, Good. So Tracy's going to be there. So look, we know Ashley's not going to disappear for months. Although, look, Tracy disappears for 6 months or more. Her and Ashley both could disappear for a few months and then come back separately. But we'll see how that goes. But that was kind of cute. The sisterly love. I really, really liked that. I did. And then let's see, we're winding out the week. We've got Devon. Abby came up with this plan that she should join the Chancellor Winters board. Now, the board, that means she has say in decisions. She goes, this way, I can also keep my eyes out for Tucker, in case he's going to attack. I am so sick of hearing them saying, Tucker attack. Tucker's going to attack the company. Tucker attack. Oh my goodness, it's ridiculous. And she goes, and I've been in corporate America before. He goes, just Abby, I know you have been. You worked in Newman. I know. And she goes, but I'm just saying that I can help. He goes, no, I think it's a good idea. And she goes, you're not just saying that. He goes, well, I don't just say things. And his 2:00 canceled. He goes, you know what? My 2:00 canceled. Why don't we talk about it over lunch? So, mind you, Daniel and Heather decide they're starving because look, they were so busy exercising, exerting all that energy, right? So they're at society, basking in the afterglow. You can see it, especially on Heather. So what does this mean? I want you to know Lucy's going to be so ecstatic. And so they come in, Devon and Lily, and they say hi to Daniel and Heather. And he's like, hi, Devon, and hello. And so her and Devon and Lily go get a table. And he keeps looking at him because he's reading Heather's body language. She wasn't blowing kisses at him, but her body language was definitely saying that. And so Abby looked, she goes, well, apparently you're interested over there in what they're doing. He goes, that does not look like a just friends conversation they're having over there. And so Abby says, well, they're co-parents. They could be talking about, Lucy and making arrangements and, for the back and forth. And he goes, yeah, they could. But is that the vibe you get? And she looked, she turned back. She goes, well, actually, no, that's not the vibe she was getting either. And she goes, but you know what, Devon? I think we should stay out of it. When have you ever heard Abby say, I think we should stay out of anything? I know I haven't. I haven't at all. Abby's got her nose in everything. Oh my goodness, everything. And he goes, I don't want my sister to get hurt if there is something going on over there. And so Heather is saying, okay, so um, she brought up Lily again. And so Daniel says, well, I'm going to have to break the news to Lily. She goes, yes, you do. You do need to go to tell Lily. And he goes, because I'm not that guy. I'm not a cheater. She goes, I'm not a cheater. She goes, well, think of yourself, though, as a man reuniting with his family. We're your family. So he goes, I've got to fly out and tell Lily. So he goes over to Devon and Abby's table and he goes, Devon, can I speak to you for a minute? And Devon is like, sure. So they go step over to the side and he goes, I want to talk to you. There's something I need to tell you. And so he goes, well, what you could do is tell me I'm wrong with the vibe that I'm feeling with you and Heather. And he goes, no, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. You're right. And Devon looked at him. He goes, Heather and I are getting back together. And he says, and I want to fly out and tell Lily. He goes, I would like, you to let me be the one to tell Lily. And Devon said, yeah, you should be the one to tell Lily. And he goes, I want to. He goes, and I'm surprised that you're coming to me, like a man and not trying to lie about it or cover it up. He goes, why would I lie about it and cover it up? He said, Lily deserves better than that. And I'm not gonna insult what you're seeing. And Devon's just looking at him like, oh, okay. He says, I'm gonna tell you, I do not want to hurt your sister. And he goes, Devon's kind of like, yeah, but that's exactly what you. He says, but this is my family. Heather and I have a daughter together. And we're going to give our family another chance. And Devon couldn't say nothing. Devon says, you know what? He's like, I can't say nothing bad about that. He can't. He just said, you just make sure my sister knows. And he goes, how's Maddie? And I'm thinking, see, what happened to all that FaceTiming, right? What's Lily's headspace like right now? And he goes, she's preoccupied in making sure Maddie's okay, with everything she went through. And I'm like, they could have came up with a better reason for Lily leaving. Okay, yes, the wildfire story could have been there, but make it so that Maddie got a little hurt. Maybe she was trapped in the wildfire. Maybe something fell on her and crushed her leg or burned her leg, not burn it off, but to where Maddie needs rehabilitation. That would be a reason Lily would just be staying there. And then why wouldn't you bring your child home? She stays in the dorm after all these years of college. Actually, she should be in her residency, so Maddie should have her own place. Maybe she does, because she was just on campus when the wildfire broke out, right? Well, Lily is just there to help Maddie mentally adjust because her mentor was killed in the wildfire. I don't know. Look, Lily wasn't there watching him burn. I mean, Maddie wasn't there watching him burn up. I mean, my whole thing is, unfortunately, we've all lost people. We have. But for this being a reason, Lily is gone for months. I don't see it. Especially since, look, little Faith Newman had a bomb strapped to her. And she went right back to campus the next day, which was actually a huge mistake. That was the most ridiculous mistake, and Sharon is supposed to be a psychologist. to think that that girl was ready to move on from that traumatic experience. But anyway, that's a whole nother storyline. So I'm just thinking, no, that's a feeble. And definitely, Maddie was not injured. Lily is not being playing caregiver. Maddie does not need babysitting. There is no reason Daniel can't go out there and talk to Lily adult to adult. None whatsoever. It's called life. Lily's going to come back, use her key, and walk in on him and Heather, and then say, "Why didn't you tell me?" I can tell you that 100%. That's how that's going to play out. Yeah. And be pissed as to why you didn't tell me. So we have, what's her name? Chelsea and Summer. The line is going to be fabulous. Summer's really happy about it. They're going to go to lunch, but she's like, "Hey, Billy and I are going to lunch." And Summer said, "Chance and I are going to lunch." So she goes, "Well, let's go to Chancellor together." And Chance and Billy were working, sitting on the couch, going over some figures. And Chance actually said, "You know what, Billy? I am learning a lot from you. Thank you." And he says, "And I apologize for the things that I said to you in the beginning." He goes, "I couldn't have been more wrong. You are a great mentor to me." And Billy was like stunned, like, okay, where's the punchline, right? And so then the ladies walk in and oh, they decide to go to lunch together and they have a good lunch and Billy and Chelsea pick up on the but Chelsea already knew how Summer felt about Chance, but Billy didn't have a clue. Because Chance was telling them, "Hey, things are going great." And Billy says, "Okay, well, things are going well here at the job, but you have to have a balance, a work balance. That's going to be very important for you, or you'll get burnout, Chance." And he goes, "No, things are going well in my personal life as well." And Billy was like, "Oh, really? Okay, right?" Hmm. So at dinner, I mean lunch, he sees it, and so after lunch, because they wrap it up, and so Chance says, "I better get back to the office." Summer says, "I got to get back there too." And they, go to leave, and Chelsea's like, "Did you know about those two?" And so Chelsea's like, "Good to see it, isn't it?" And she goes, "It was also good to hear Billy giving you all those compliments," because he was even complimenting Chance at lunch, right? And so Billy said, "That's new to me." He says, "All those years I looked up to Jack and I was always striving to be Jack." He goes, "I've never had anybody that looked up to me in business." He says, "It actually feels good that I could mentor someone," right? And so Chelsea was like, she was, good to hear it, good to hear it. So then Summer and Chance decide that they're going to have a dinner date. She goes, "Is this going to be a real date?" And he goes, "Yeah, we're going to have a dinner date." So they were happy about that. So then Daniel gets back to the table from talking to Devon and Heather. But by then, meantime, as he's talking to Devon, Abby had to go over and be Abby. And she says, so what did she say? Devon or Daniel, she goes, "I'm sure Daniel wanted to talk to Devon about what we see is happening between you two. Tell me we're wrong." And she goes, "Well, I'm sure Daniel's discussing whatever he feels he needs to discuss with Devon." Heather's like, "Look, I'm not going to start telling you anything." But she wasn't rude. And Lily's like, "Yeah, well, first and foremost, we want to make sure Lily doesn't get hurt." And so Heather goes, "That is nobody's intention." Still not telling her anything, right? And I'm thinking, good, Abby does not deserve to put her, and I don't know why she took her butt over there. She should have left it sitting down. So Devon tells her, yes, he's going to present to Jill for her, to come on board staff, which I'm thinking that's a nightmare and a disaster, but whatever. Because she feels she's hit a ceiling with the restaurant. It's this major success. And the only way up from here is if she opens up another one. She doesn't necessarily want to have multiple locations. So this one's running like a fine tooth comb. She's ready to branch out, you know, into Chancellor Winters. So whatever. Yeah. So Daniel gets back to the table and he goes, "How did it go with Devon?" She goes, he was surprised I came to him like a man and told him the truth. He says, "But right now, with what Lily is going through with Maddie, it's not the time for me to fly out to LA and dump this on her." And so Heather was kind of like, "Well, okay, well, whatever. But you know what? We're a family." And he goes, "No, no, no. That's it. That's the thing. We are going to have to hold off." And Heather looks at him like, "What?" He goes, "No, no. We have to hold off until I could tell Lily." Oh, she wasn't too happy with that, but she's like, "See, oh, because I want to say," she told him, "You know, Daniel, it wasn't my intention when I moved back here for us to get back together again." And he goes, "Somehow I doubt that." He just flat out, "Somehow I doubt that." But anyway, he says, "No, I'm going to do this right," which I'm happy. Because see, Heather will happily tell everybody, "I didn't plan." Yes, you did. Girl, you orchestrated it. You and your daughter were in cahoots with each other to get this done, bringing just cups of coffee. I thought you might need this. Why would you bring this man a cup of coffee when you work at the same place? You would see him around in the break room, right? So anyway, last scene. I actually kind of like Nate and Audra because Nate's a little snakish. Audra's definitely snakish. Thinks she can run circles around everybody and everything. And Nate was just as willing to let her undress him. Because here's the thing about Nate. Audra's thinking, "I'm going to get him wrapped around my finger like she had Kyle," right? See, Audra doesn't have Tucker wrapped around her finger. And Audra's not, any real man, they're not wrapped around Audra's finger. Nate is not going to be wrapped around Audra's finger. But oh, Nate's going to hit that. Nate's going to be spending as much time in the sack with her because he's not getting it from Victoria or anybody. See, she's a little conquest for him. Much younger woman, much younger woman. Oh, yeah. He's going to just, and she's like, "I want you to quit Chancellor Winters." He goes, "You want me to quit my family's company that I just got back to?" No, not doing. She's like, "I'm going to get glissade from Tucker." He goes, "Your plans with Tucker from Jabot just blew up in your face. And now you feel you're going to be able to take the one company he has left away from him." He goes, "That's a bit ambitious." And she's like, "I'm going to do it. And when I do, I want you by my side." And he's just looking, he's like, "Girl, please, you get it, maybe we'll talk." So Tucker comes and interrupts. And he says, "I would like to speak to Audra alone." And Nate's like, "Whatever." She goes, "Don't go far." I want to continue our conversation. And Nate goes, "Yeah, okay." He ain't passing that up, right? So Tucker is just playing it on hot and heavy. How much he and Audra belong together. Oh my goodness, we belong together. We belong together. You and me. And she's like, "No, that ship has sailed, Tucker. You have let me down too many times, Audra." This is, so she's like, "No, nope, it's not going to happen." She goes, "Because Ashley could come back in here at the drop of a hat and all your plans are going to, that is not going to happen. Ashley and I are not going to," what?" She goes, "You know what, Tucker? Look, you have let me down one too many times. I'm done." And he goes, "Oh, so now you know." You getting ready to start something with Nate, ex-doctor? And she goes, none of your business. That is none of your business. And he's just looking at her like, girl, you love being on your back. I know exactly what you're getting ready to do, right? So she goes down. She talked to Nate earlier saying that she felt now that Nikki has confided in her and she told Nikki about her father and how she can spot when somebody's been drinking. She goes, I think I overplayed my hand because now Nikki's going to be paranoid into thinking I either know she's been drinking or I may think she's been drinking. He goes, and she goes, that's going to be difficult for me. And he goes, I think you're overplaying it, right? But anyway, Audra meets him down at the jazz lounge and they're talking. And of course, they're going to talk about going upstairs. So they're getting ready to head upstairs. But Nikki, somehow Audra comes back to work. And, or is it scenes for next week? I can't remember. Was it scenes? Because she was saying, hi, Nikki. And Nikki's flustered at her desk. And she goes, is there something else I could do for you? You know, is there something I could take off of your plate? Why? You don't think I know how to handle my workload that I can? And I think those are scenes for next week, right? So we'll see. We'll leave that there. Because let's face it, Nikki is paranoid and she is still slipping. And when you're slipping, you don't want people that can spot it to know. So that is 100% true there. So that was it, everybody. That was it for the entire week of The Young and the Restless. We've got two comments from Comic Corner. And those comments are Otherworldly says, just letting you know I enjoy your review of a story I used to watch during the summers of grade school, 25 years ago. Thank you. Oh, wait, keep up your zeal, daily recap lady. Why, thank you, Otherworldly. I'm going to try to get back to more than once a week recaps. I think I have to go out of town this coming up weekend. This probably be a whole nother weekly recap, but then after that, hopefully things are better. Anita says, um, I like the way the writer scripted Chance and Summer. We broke up. It should begin to get interesting. Yeah, I'm happy that he broke up with Sharon. Phyllis is a riot. Danny is pathetic, acting so innocent. He didn't mean what he finally told Phyllis. No, he didn't. Um, he would have told Phyllis a while ago if he wasn't gonna, yeah, play that game with her. He was so happy to play that game. That he was not gonna play the games with her. He just didn't want Christine to get to see it. That's why he didn't tell Christine that he kissed Phyllis. Phyllis kissed him, and he sure was kissing her back. That wasn't a one-sided kiss at Danny's place. The first time Phyllis kissed, right? So anyway, everybody, that is it. I will be back next week with another daily recap of The Young and the Restless.